endangered species trade, unfortunately, is not just about the killing of various types of animals. It really is a war, and rangers are killed on a regular basis.
Game wardens, conservation officers, are shot and killed far more often on a per capita basis than police officers. But I got a first-hand sense of that when I went to train African rangers in CSI techniques, and there were 5 rangers, including this young woman who looked like my daughter, far too young to be carrying a gun. They said, "Oh no, she's tough. She's fine." But as we're going through the training, I said, "So what about your safety? How are things going?" They said, "Well, it's pretty dangerous. We lost 10 of us last year."
I can give you many stories about men that I know who have been killed in the line of duty. In Cameroon, in Lobeke National Park, a colleague, Achille Zemodo, was killed just last year. He had run into a group of poachers in the middle of the park. They had weapons, and the Cameroonian government wasn't allowing the wildlife guards to carry weapons into the forest. So they proceeded to beat Achille, strip him down, tie him to a tree, and shoot him numerous times before leaving him out in the forest to die.
There was an incident in the Okapi Faunal Reserve in Democratic Republic of Congo where armed militias went through the reserve. They shot 6 rangers and their families dead.
One time, rangers were gone for arresting poachers, and the poachers, they managed to gather other people, and they captured the rangers and beat almost to death, and left. Their hand was broken, their nose were broken and beaten in several parts of their body. So it was so very horrible condition.
You look at certain areas like the Virungas, and they've lost in the last 10 years over 100 park rangers. My personal experience in Rwanda when I was doing anti-poaching patrols in the Virunga volcanoes, we lost a 1/3 of our about 40-member force at the time to aggressive activities from either militia members or poachers. It's everywhere.
C'est dangereux, mais qu'est-ce que vous voulez? On est obligé de faire avec, puisqu'on a de l'amour dans ce qu'on veut faire. Quand vous avez de l'amour dans ce que vous voulez faire, vous ne voyez plus ce qui est dangereux, vous prenez le risque. On prend le risque parce qu'on aime le métier. Ça va être très difficile, mais on fait avec parce que c'est un choix. On a prêté seulement pour ça.
The rangers, to me, are the true conservation heroes. They really are on the front line, and it's a front line that very few people really understand the hardships of being on. They leave their families for days, if not weeks, sometimes months on end, to go and live in very remote places, in very harsh conditions, often without electricity, without running water, without access to fresh food, without access to medical facilities. And they're doing that because they're protecting wildlife. Often they don't have the authority to carry a weapon, or maybe there's one weapon between a team of 5 people. But they're going in and trying to intercept and arrest poaching gangs, which can be very heavily armed.
Park rangers may have bolt-action Mausers left over from World War II, and they're fighting groups that may even have access to aircraft that can come in and take them under suppressing fire. We're talking about automatic weapons. We're talking about vehicles on which heavy weapons are mounted. We're talking about rocket-propelled grenades. Basically, war-fighting equipment that is beyond the purview of rangers in game parks. So it's no longer a fair fight.
They're by themselves, they're outgunned, they're outnumbered, and they're putting themselves between these deadly poachers and a rhino and an elephant, trying to keep it alive.
Unfortunately, lots of rangers across the world get very seriously injured or even killed every single year. And this is something that is not really well documented and known, and I think it's something that really needs to change.
We're in a crisis situation, and what the rangers need, of course, is continued financial support.
Rangers oftentimes are very poorly paid by the governments that they work for. They may not be given proper equipment. They may not, in some cases, even be able to afford good boots to allow them to walk on patrols. And that's where WWF plays such a key role, because the funding that we're able to provide can help supplement Rangers' salaries, to give them good equipment like GPS units, boots, basic uniforms, even meals and first aid equipment.
We provide them with tents, we provide them with field rations. It's not a very expensive activity, in fact, and it's critical to what we do.
What people have to realize is that any contribution, no matter how small, can buy something extremely important to a ranger to help him do his job. Protecting the wildlife, where rangers form that front line of defense.